Think about this. How many guitarists have a chord named after them? I can really only think of one, and that's Jimi Hendrix. If you can think of somebody else, let me know in the comments below. But that's what we're gonna dive into today, a great example of the Jimi Hendrix chord, or what's sometimes called the Purple Haze chord in this Purple Haze guitar lesson. Now, I remember actually the first time that I learned the Jimi Hendrix chord. See, when I was about 12 years old, I figured out this riff from a tab. It went like this. And I just remember playing that riff over and over and thinking, what a sound, this is amazing. But it wasn't until a few years later, actually, where I was still in high school, but my parents let me take a local, just community college music theory class. And I was sitting in this class where we studied all kinds of music theory concepts, and the professor was actually a really cool guy. He was a brilliant musician and just the nicest guy. And he knew all about Bach and Beethoven and Mozart. And one day he was writing out this chord that came up in this song. He was writing it out on the chalkboard, and he added up the notes. It was like E, G sharp, D, and a G, and he just kind of circled it and then turns to the class and goes, you know, the Jimi Hendrix chord. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is where I made the connection from this riff to, you know, the Jimi Hendrix chord, and I'll never forget it. So let's take a look at the intro guitar part here. We've got the 6th fret on the E string, and then the 8th fret on the D string. Now those are both the note B flat. Now one thing about this song is Jimi Hendrix a lot of times tuned down a half step, but there's a few exceptions, and Purple Haze is one of the few that he actually didn't tune down. Another one is Hey Joe. So here I'm just in standard tuning, and most likely Hendrix probably played it with his thumb. Just alternating there from the 6th fret of the low E to the 8th fret on the 4th string. Now that's the note B flat, okay? Now the bass guitar is playing the note E in octaves. It's the same kind of thing, but on the note E, right? So the bass is like doing that. Now those together create this tritone interval, which is just a super dissonant interval. You've got the note B flat and then the note E, okay? So it's just super dissonant and then jumping kind of in octaves like that. All right, so that's the first part, and if you want to learn to play in the style of Jimi Hendrix, one of the things you have to know is the blues scale, and so much of Jimi's playing came straight out of the blues. And I want to give you a gift that's really going to help you with jamming the blues anywhere on the neck, and what it is my blues scale PDF guide, which you can get completely for free. Just go to johnmcclennan.com/bluescales, or you can click the first link down below, and you'll be learning the exact patterns that Jimi Hendrix used to be able to play up and down the neck. Again, it's completely for free. Just go to johnmcclennan.com/bluescales and grab that as my gift to you. So you could play both of those notes, or you could just play the octave straight up. Then we go. Now this part here is where we slide into the 9th fret on the 4th string, and then the 7th fret on the 3rd string, then 8 on the 2nd string with a little bend, okay? And then you play 7 on the 4th string. Those are the notes B, D, G, and then A, okay? And that's gonna tie in later with our Jimi Hendrix chord. But that lick is really using a lot of notes right out of the Jimi Hendrix chord, okay? So that's the first bar, then we go. Now this part, I for years played like this. So that's 3 sliding to 5 on the 4th string, and then I would go to the D here, but I think it's actually the open string, okay? So it's sliding in, then open D, then low E, then D hammer to E, 5 to 7 on the 5th string. So it's instead of, just sounds a little cooler with that open string in there. So putting it together, you know, Jimmy would do this all the time, is just these slides. Okay, it's a really great sound. And then you go back up to this lick again, and then the second time, same thing, okay? So that's 3, slide to 5, open, low E, 5, hammer to 7. So then we're gonna slide from 5 to 7 on the 5th string, and play this next lick. So he shifts down, because remember, we're here, and then you gotta kind of move your 3rd finger and then slide it back up from 5 to 7. Then on the 4th string, 5, 7, with a bend. Okay, so, and that's just a quick bend up and then bring it back down to 5. So, then we play 5 on the 4th string, open A, open low E, 3rd fret on the low E. So that's the note G there. So lots of open strings, right? So backing up. Okay, then we play the open D string to slide back up here. Okay, then that's the open D, 5, slide to 7 on the 5th string, 5 on the 4th string, then bend 7, then play 5, hammer to 7. So then we go, okay, that's the 5th fret on the 4th string to open. Notice how many open strings Jimmy keeps using in between the licks. It gets a really cool sound. So 5, 0, and then you slide 7 to 9 on the 4th string, 7, 7, 9. Then, again, another sort of throwaway slide. All right, so that's the intro. Let's back up and we'll put it all together, starting with the octaves. I'll count you in. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, from there we go into this awesome groove, and here's where we actually first fully see the Jimi Hendrix chord, or the Purple Haze chord. Here's what it sounds like. 3, 4. All right, so we've got 3 chord shapes you need to know, and the first one is E7 sharp 9. This, you can play all 6 strings, open, 7, 6, 7, 8, and even the high E can be played open if you like. So that's your E7 sharp 9, aka the Jimi Hendrix chord. Now, when you think about this riff, right? A lot of those notes, we've got a B, a D, and a G, which are all notes that are in. When I play this chord, you know, E7 sharp 9, I've got an E in there, I've got a G in there, I've got a D in there, and then you could play the 5th, you know, which is the note B, but this voicing just kind of works out nice guitar on the guitar being root 3rd, 7th, and then sharp 9th. But the actual theory of that chord is like the notes E, G sharp, B, D, and then G natural, which is that bluesy note. So when you play this lick, see how it fits that chord, E7 sharp 9. So really, that is one of the bluesiest chords, and it's all over this song. So that's the actual, you know, chord shape of it. And then here, we're gonna go to another thing that Jimmy would do all the time, and he would play these thumb chords. So that means his thumb would come over the top of the neck, and you'd see him, you know, when he'd play a strat, his thumb was just like way over the neck, which was just how he played, you know? And I come from a lot of that kind of school of playing where I'm fretting notes all the time with my thumb. Here, you know, Tommy Emmanuel would do that a lot. Even a lot of country players like Merle Travis would hang his thumb over, Chet Atkins. Now here, we've got the 3rd fret of the low E, and then we're gonna mute the 5th string and play 5, 4, 3, 3. So it's a little like G major chord here, and then the bass note, okay? That's a G, and then A is just up 2 frets. Now the beautiful thing about these Hendrix chords is you have now freed up your fingers. So if I play a chord like this, just a typical bar chord, I'm kind of tapped out as far as my fingers. I can't do anything else. But when you start playing it like this, now look, my pinky's free and I can go, and I can add little embellishments, and I can get more notes than I could playing a non-thumb chord. And so that's why a lot of times I gravitate to those chords once you're used to this technique, because you can get all kinds of sounds that you couldn't get otherwise. So we got the G, the A, and then you can add this pinky down on the 2nd string at the 7th fret. That's an A6 chord. That's another little variation that he would do when he would play a rhythm like this. So there you can see I'm bringing in that pinky. So the basic idea here is 1 and 2 and, so that's down, 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 just on 8th notes there on the E7 sharp 9. Then 3 E and, so that's a scratch strum, then an up strum on the chord, and then 2 low bass notes. So 1 and 2 and 3 E and 4 E. Then you hit this on beat 4, and then 4 E and you do 2 last muted strums down up. So 1 and 2 and 3 E and 4 E and Then you go to the G chord. So I played it twice there, but on the recording it's just 1 bar. So 1 and 2 and 3 E and 4 E and then you go to G. Here we're gonna play the bass note, 1 and 2 and okay? So that's bass, bass, chord, then scratch, strum, down, up. Then that's 3 E and 4 E and down, up, down, up, down. And if you'll notice there, my pinky's coming on and off to get that little extra melody note in there. All right, so. So it's really just a 2-bar groove once you kick into the progression. It's a bar of E7 sharp 9, aka the Jimi Hendrix chord, and then a split bar, 2 beats on G and 2 beats on A. So practice, there's a lot in there, from the intro lead to the funky grooves and the different chord shapes with the thumb chords. So give yourself time if you've never played this kind of stuff. It's really advanced playing. I'm basically just breaking down Hendrix just like how he did it. So hopefully this helps you out and gives you some ideas and gives you some cool licks to practice. And to help you start working this out anywhere on the neck, grab my free blues scale PDF guide. There's a link below this video, or you can just go to johnmclennan.com/bluescales and you can start learning these patterns just like how Jimi Hendrix knew these scale patterns up and down the neck. You want to know them too, and you can learn it completely for free. Just click the link below or go to johnmclennan.com/bluescales. As always, thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and for more Hendrix, check out this video next.